Just past 1:30 in the morning, on March 26, 2024, a massive steel structure spanning the Patapsco River in Baltimore gives way. With a deep, rumbling sound, segments of the Francis Scott Key Bridge tumble into the dark water. It is a sudden, shocking scene captured on video, marking the beginning of a crisis with far-reaching consequences. The Francis Scott Key Bridge opened to traffic in 1977, a vital artery for Interstate 695 circling Baltimore. It handles some 34,000 vehicles daily, including thousands of trucks rerouted from harbor tunnels. This is no ordinary crossing. It is a continuous truss bridge, the second longest of its type in the United States. However, its design includes a vulnerability. It is fracture critical. This means if a key support is removed, the entire structure lacks redundancy and can fail rapidly. Furthermore, built before updated regulations, its pier protection systems are not designed to withstand the impact of the massive container ships that now regularly navigate the port. The vessel involved is the motor vessel Dolly, a Singapore-flagged container ship nearly 1,000 feet long. It boasts a capacity for 10,000 20-foot containers, carrying 4,700 on this voyage. Owned by Grace Ocean and operated by Synergy Marine, the Dolly had recently undergone engine maintenance in port and passed inspections, including a United States Coast Guard check months earlier that found no issues. The Dolly departed the port of Baltimore just after midnight, bound for Sri Lanka. Local harbor pilots were on board, guiding the ship. Following standard procedure, tugboats assisting the vessel in the confined port area were released once the ship entered the main channel. The journey seemed routine as the massive ship made its way towards the open sea. Suddenly, at 1:24 a.m., the ship experienced a complete blackout. Powerless, it began to drift out of the shipping channel. The backup generator came online, powering some systems, but the propulsion remained dead. Just 3 minutes later, at 1:27 a.m., a pilot made a frantic mayday call to the Maryland Department of Transportation. The urgent message: the ship had lost steering and power, a collision with the bridge was imminent. This warning was critical. Acting on the mayday call, Maryland Department of Transportation police dispatched officers to stop traffic on the bridge. They raced against time. Eastbound traffic was stopped within 20 seconds on the south side. On the north side, westbound traffic was halted just moments before impact. At 1:28:45 a.m., the Dolly, still dragging an anchor deployed as an emergency measure, struck the bridge's southwest pier at a speed of about 8 knots. The impact was devastating. Because of the bridge's fracture-critical design, the failure of a single pier cascaded through the structure within seconds. The central truss span collapsed onto the ship's bow, followed rapidly by adjacent sections. The bridge broke apart in multiple places, with large segments plunging into the river below. The collapse occurred with little warning for those on the bridge. A maintenance crew was working to repair potholes on the roadway, taking a break in their vehicles at the time. Multiple vehicles were on the bridge when it fell. Emergency teams received 911 calls shortly after the collapse and launched a large-scale rescue and recovery operation in the cold, 47-degree water. 2 people were rescued from the river in the immediate aftermath. 1 person was seriously injured. 6 members of the maintenance crew were reported missing and are soon presumed dead as the search transitioned to a recovery effort. Their bodies were located in the following weeks, found submerged in vehicles caught in the wreckage, highlighting the sudden and tragic nature of the disaster. Meanwhile, the 21 crew members aboard the Dolly remained on the vessel for weeks and months. Lacking the necessary visas or shore passes, they could not disembark. The FBI confiscated their mobile phones as part of the investigation. Aid groups stepped in to provide support, including essentials and internet access, as the sailors waited in isolation while legal proceedings unfolded. Eventually, some were permitted to leave the country, but others remained in Baltimore as the complex legal case continued. The collapse had immediate and significant consequences for the Port of Baltimore. The bridge wreckage effectively blocked maritime access to most of the port's terminals, trapping dozens of vessels and preventing others from entering. Only one terminal, located seaward of the bridge, remained operational. This forced the vital port, a major hub for automobiles and coal, to come to a virtual standstill. Maryland's governor declared a state of emergency. The economic impact was severe, estimated at $15 million per day during the closure. Shipping companies rerouted vessels and cargo, causing costly supply chain disruptions across the region and potentially impacting jobs tied to port operations. Maryland lawmakers quickly passed emergency legislation to provide financial aid to port workers and businesses affected by the crisis. Both the National Transportation Safety Board and the FBI launched investigations into the collapse. NTSB investigators boarded the Dolly and quickly recovered the ship's voyage data recorder, the equivalent of an airplane's black box. This critical piece of evidence provided investigators with a detailed timeline of the ship's final moments. Initial focus centered on a potential loss of power due to fuel or electrical issues. The NTSB's preliminary report revealed the Dolly experienced 2 power outages while still docked in port hours before leaving. Crew members made changes to the ship's electrical configuration before the voyage. While the report does not definitively link the in-port outages to the voyage blackout, it highlights the electrical system as a key area of investigation. A later NTSB report identified a loose electrical cable as a potential factor. The FBI opened a criminal probe, investigating if the crew or companies knew about potential issues before the ship departed. Almost immediately, the legal wrangling began. The ship's owner and operator filed a petition in court to limit their liability, a process allowed under historic maritime law. In response, Baltimore City officials, victims' families, insurers, and businesses filed multiple lawsuits. These lawsuits alleged negligence, unseaworthiness of the vessel, and an incompetent crew. The potential insured losses were estimated to be billions, making it one of the largest maritime insurance cases in history. It involved complex claims spread across numerous companies and reinsurers. A massive salvage operation got underway, led by the United States Army Corps of Engineers and the United States Navy. They deployed huge floating cranes, including one of the largest on the East Coast, to begin removing the tons of twisted steel and concrete wreckage from the river and the ship's bow. The operation was complex, involving hundreds of personnel from various agencies and private contractors working around the clock. As the cleanup progressed, temporary channels of increasing depth were opened to allow essential and commercial traffic to navigate past the wreckage. This was a critical step towards easing the economic impact. Crews continued to clear debris, including using controlled explosives to break apart larger sections of the bridge. Finally, about 11 weeks after the collapse, the main shipping channel was fully reopened to its original depth and width. Even as the channel reopened, the focus turned to the future. Maryland officials moved forward with plans to design and build a replacement bridge. The estimated cost is significant, ranging from $1.7 billion to $1.9 billion. The goal is to have the new bridge completed by the fall of 2028, restoring the vital transportation link across the Patapsco River. The disaster also prompted a national conversation about bridge safety. Experts pointed to outdated regulations for pier protection, particularly concerning the size of modern container ships. Discussions arose about whether additional safeguards, like mandatory tug escorts for large vessels around critical infrastructure, should be implemented. The NTSB's findings will likely inform future bridge design and safety standards across the country, aiming to prevent such a catastrophic event from happening again.